Hi, I'm Macy.
And I'm Missy.
We're best friends
and business partners. And each week, we're going to bring you a quote that inspires us, and we're going to talk about it.
Join us as we break down our favorite impactful messages for leadership and share how you can apply them to lead with confidence and purpose.
Get ready for a fun and authentic journey into leadership, life, and everything in between. Well, hey, bestie.
Hey, bestie. It's a great day to record a podcast today, don't you think?
I do. I mean, the sun is shining here, and you know how I love sunshine.
I surely do. I feel the same. When it's sunny, we know it's going to be a great day.
Indeed. Well, I say let's get to introducing our guest. He's a great guy, and he's actually the one who came up with the quote for today, which is unusual. So, Brent, thanks for joining us today.
Yes, Brent, thank you so much for being here, Brent Running. So, Brent, why don't you go ahead and share with our listeners more about you, and then we're going to share the quote.
Absolutely. Well, first off, thanks, Missy and Mayce, for having me. I just want to take a minute to honor both of you for the work you do. We swim in adjacent lanes. You're helping blue-collar leaders, and I'm doing the same in a different industry. So just appreciate you guys and what you're doing.
Thanks.
So I have spent the last 20 plus years leading in distribution, operations, production, and the like. I've led large, diverse teams through that. And during that time, I was fortunate enough in the first 10 years to work for an organization that had a very robust and intense leadership development program within it. And I didn't realize how great it was until I left that organization. I found myself
2020, right?
Yes.
That's right. Found myself in an opportunity in a new environment and watched leaders that they were interns weeks before and they were thrust into leadership positions to fulfill a need, and they just didn't have what they needed to lead successfully. And I was able to take what I had learned and reapply that, and started a running to lead back in 2023 to take that to more places and grow and develop leaders and help them along the way.
Awesome. Okay, well, this quote, as we mentioned, Brent, you came up with it. And so, listeners, here it is. Capacity isn't how much work a leader can take on. It's how much responsibility they can carry while still leading well.
So good.
That's a good one. So, Brent, Mayce, let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's do it.
And so, Brent, since the quote is something that you came up with, it's likely a pillar of which you live by. So break it down for us. What does this quote actually mean to you?
So what this quote means to me, and if I can go back to a little bit of an origin story for myself with this, is I was going through a lot in my personal life in terms of my professional life and personal life with a lot of responsibility, a lot of things that I was leading, a new facility startup, new software implementations, all the change associated with that. On the side, I was leading a capital campaign at my church and starting up this coaching business on the side. And then I've got teen and preteen kids that are in all the activities. Yeah. And I had a person in my life that was going into a weekend telling me they're a single person and they're just like, man, I have a garden to take care of and I got to clean the house this weekend. I think I'm gonna have to take Monday off to just recover from it all. And I was like, oh, if you only knew. And I kind of found this like moment of judgment and I had to stop myself. I was like, I shouldn't judge this person. And what I came to realize is that everybody has a full cup, but everybody's cup is a different size.
Oh, that's good. That's such a good visual.
I love that. That is a tweetable, Mayce, if we tweeted.
Yeah.
There you go. And to me, it just describes like my ability to, I guess, handle what I had going in my life, put into perspective what he had going on in his life. And it's no fault of his. We've just been on different paths and we've had different journeys and grew our capacities different.
Yeah. Wow. So burnout is like a buzzword right now, right? Everyone's gets triggered and they're burnt out and it's really like this hot topic. So how does a leader know that they've exceeded their capacity? And I would also piggyback, like, how do they know maybe ahead of time, like that they're inching close to avoid the dreaded burnout? Maybe that's a better question.
Yeah. So I describe it as kind of this, you remember when you were kids, you might have watched a magician or somebody on TV that was spinning a bunch of plates.
Yeah.
and those plates were balanced. Now, if you take that plate and divide it into 4 quadrants, there's really 4 things that I think of there. There's emotional capacity, relational capacity, strategic, and then physical kind of energy capacity. And if you think of those keeping the plate balanced and one area gets overloaded, that plate's going to get out of balance and start to wobble, and you have to put something on the other side to balance it out. Understanding and recognizing when those things start to get out of balance gives you the opportunity to kind of compensate for that. But unfortunately, a lot of times when they're overburdened or burnout is approaching, you overcompensate. So for me, oftentimes in my career, it comes down to what I call overfunctioning, meaning I dive back into the work that my team should be doing. And I get in there because it fills my cup, makes me feel accomplished, but it takes me away from the things that only I can do that maybe set up the team to succeed. Quick reactions and overreacting can be an indicator of their burning out, and catching those early and learning how to respond differently or catch yourself, those little mental flags can help prevent that.
You know, also it's interesting, Brent, that you were saying, like, I go back in, like I roll up my sleeves and do the things because it fills my cup up. But what we're missing, of course, and Missy and I preach about this all the time, listeners, you know, you've heard us talk about this before. When you do that, the message that it's sending to your team is not a good one. Like, you feel good, right? Because you're like, I'm filling up my cup. I feel good. I want to do the thing. And your team's over here like, hello, like,
that's my job.
That's my job. And now, so there's just like this whole kind of cyclone, I think, that could come from that.
Love it.
And I think it's an internal fight of I want to be respected by the team, and I want them to know I'm in it with them. But there's other ways to maybe show that, because they're thinking, why is he out here doing this when he should be doing something else?
That's exactly right. I think it's also a comfort level to them, right? If it's something they can do without thinking, it kind of avoids that feeling of hitting capacity. So talking about that, Brent, why do you think so many capable leaders do seem to hit a wall?
I think it comes down to, have they let growth just happen, or have they been intentional to build their capacity or build their capabilities as time goes on, to accelerate their readiness for those situations? I used to work for a leader who said, it's your job to manage yourself out of a job. And he didn't mean like work myself into getting fired. He meant get everybody around you able to do the things that you can do so that you can move on and learn other things and take on more. And
for sure.
Yeah, we agree with that too. Do you think that leadership capacity is something that can be developed, or do you think people naturally have it? And if you have it, you have it. And if you don't, you don't, and too bad for you?
I think it can absolutely be developed. And one of the stories that I share with this is, Macy, I know you have kids. I have 2 kids. And when you think about when the first one was born, how terrified were you? Like, I'm responsible for this little human, and all the things associated are scary. And then when number 2 comes along, it's like, oh, well, this isn't such a big deal. Now I have to worry about what do I do with a toddler while there's a baby, but I can manage it. And when you think back on that, especially when the spouse takes one of them away and you're left with one's not scary anymore, because you've grown your capacity to be able to
that's a
handle
great,
those things.
That's a great, it reminds me of that
analogy.
Huggies commercial. Have you guys seen, like, the first baby, you've got like all the fancy stuff and the best diapers. And by baby number 2, it's all store brand names, not the fancy Pampers.
There's even a new fancier pamper now. I saw the other day on a commercial, and it's like, if you want your baby in the finest, it's like it's Pampers, but it's a luxury diaper, y'all. Just side note, you're welcome, listeners, if you're having a baby, because I've got a grandbaby on the way. It makes me think of that everything can seem hard the first time, or many things can seem hard the first time. So thinking about that, and you've got leaders and they're successful, but maybe they're successful, Brent, in a smaller environment. Why do you think they struggle as things scale?
Well, I think that in time we have to be taught to expand our thought process and see things. You always hear that acronym, or the analogy rather, of you're leading at 5,000 feet. I need to get you to 20,000 feet or 30,000 feet. And that really means you have to expose yourself to things that are outside your comfort zone so that you can gain that experience, so that when the next thing comes and the scalability comes, you're sitting in a spot where it's like, well, it's just another challenge I have to take on. And you get through some of those fears, but also you have the ability to say, I don't know, but I have the knowledge to learn. I can figure this out. I can grow into it. And also, I'm not afraid to ask for help and look for
Yeah.
resources and have a network you can reach out to help you maybe shore the gap on the things that you aren't so good at.
Yeah. I also think, and Missy, we've had experience with this with people that we've trained sometimes, is they're really good in smaller environments because they could do it all
They
themselves.
can do it all.
So
I
they
was
get
thinking that same
promoted
thing.
or they're given a larger team or more responsibility, but they've never really learned the power of how to empower. So then
Right.
when they're given more, they can't do it all by themselves. They struggle because there's no way to do it all by themselves.
Right.
Like it's just not possible.
And that's why it's so important as you are in those smaller leadership roles and you're not feeling overwhelmed to continue to empower folks so that you can then do that next important thing. Don't you think?
Yeah. I mean, it reminds me, we just recently trained CJ, right, in our leadership collective, and he wasn't a leader when he went through our program,
That's
but he was
right.
promoted during our program. But he started implementing all the things we were
Yep.
teaching, even though he wasn't in a leadership role, so that his team got used to the empowerment. So when he did go to them and said, hey, could you do this or do this? They're like, yeah, we'll do it. You've been, listening to our voices all the time.
Right.
So with that in mind, Brent, let me ask you, because we love to get practical around here. What would be a habit that could help leaders protect their capacity in the long term?
Yeah, well, you guys have already hit part of it, right? It's learning to delegate and kind of lead without authority. But I teach a thing called the 5 C's. It's a developmental flywheel, kind of based off of Jim Collins' flywheel concept, but it's getting in a habit and a routine of creating these developmental activities and being very intentional. What am I going to do this week or today even to practice expanding my ability to lead with or without authority, depending on what level you're at.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you can practice that and get into the routine of I'm going to be intentional, I'm going to do the thing, and then I'm going to circle up and figure out how it went and what I can learn from it and then apply it the next time around. It really comes down to you have to put some time aside to be intentional so that you can share and delegate those things and help teach and train so it's sustainable, whether you win the lottery tomorrow and go away or you're there moving on to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the easiest way to do that, we always say, get out your phone, put some time on your calendar, right?
Yeah.
You gotta time block. I know that's been a savior for Missy and I. Doing some
It
time blocking has
absolutely
changed the way
has.
we lead.
So, Brent, how can organizations, how do you see them unintentionally overloading good leaders maybe before they're ready for it?
It comes back to you did a great job on this. Here's some more to do. And I think that it's just that element of we all lean on our top players.
Yes.
To do more
the people
more,
who do more get more to do.
That's right. And we don't always follow it up with how to teach them how to delegate certain responsibilities and start to lean on their teams differently. So I spend a lot of time and I get most excited about helping leaders who lead leaders, especially those frontline leaders who them how to pass on that knowledge and that information.
Yeah, no, that's such a great point. What advice do you have for that leader who is maybe that top producer, the one that they are constantly getting more to do? What advice do you have to help them maybe have the conversation with their leader to say, I need to press pause, but without, I think sometimes people might get weird about that because they're like, oh, if I tell my boss I can't handle it, they're going to give it to someone else who can handle it, but then they're going to think less of me maybe. Do you have any advice there?
Well, I have a great friend who uses this phrase regularly, and I put it in my vernacular too, is you got to prepare, but then be direct, kind, and honest. So just share what it is that's happening and where you're at and maybe where you're struggling. It could turn into a mentor-mentee conversation, just a true teaching, learning moment. And then you're strategizing with your peer. And I would say come with solutions. Don't just say, I can't. But bring some options to the table to help the leader you're reporting to, find other options that are going to be as good or better than maybe you can do. Yeah,
that's so good. We all have a mentor, Mark Cole, right? Which he has taught Missy and I am sure. Brent, you've heard Mark say this as well. Like, you could come to me with a problem, but come to me with the problem, 3 solutions, and the one solution you think is the best out of all of them. And I think that's exactly what you're saying. Like, it's okay to have the conversation, but don't always go to your leader with, I've got a problem, I've got a problem, I've got a problem. Right?
Yeah.
Say, I have a problem, but here's what I think and how we can maybe solve that problem together.
And
that behavior will take you from a top performer to not a top performer if you're doing that.
Yeah,
that's exactly
absolutely.
right. This whole conversation is just making me kind of have a sidebar thought. Macy, last year when we launched the podcast and we were doing all the things, we were getting ready to launch our leadership collective, and our list was so long. And we didn't have a leader to go to, but we would have to come to each other from time to time and be like, I need you to take this, or can you take this for now, or let's do this together, because I feel like we both were at high capacity at that time, like feeling almost overwhelmed, but
Yeah.
it didn't take long working together and having those conversations till we found like we were breathing again. Just like we went back to earlier, but it makes me think so much into that.
Yeah.
And so go ahead,
Well, I
Mace.
was just going to say, I think it goes back to like what we were talking about before with families. Like, this high capacity thing could be in your family too. Like, I'm in the sandwich generation, right? So I've got an aging mom, and I've got a husband, and I've got 2 teenagers, and I'm like this monkey in the middle, right? Like, where do you go? And then you forget to take care of yourself. Although I try really hard to take care of myself. You forget to take care of yourself, and you get to that capacity. But I think when you are married and you can go and you could say to your spouse, hey, listen, I'm like almost at capacity.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have those conversations, just like you would do leader to mentee, or partner to partner in business, or coworker, you're going to get to a point where it's going to explode, and it's probably going to hurt a lot.
Yeah, it won't be good.
Just having that conversation, you know.
It won't be good. Brent, for the leader who's listening, who's feeling overwhelmed right now, where should they start?
I mean, you guys just highlighted a great one of find somebody in your network that you can reach out to and start to talk to about it. It might not be your leader. It might be a trusted peer at work. It might be a friend outside of work, but starting to talk about it. What I find, and where I think coaching is so valuable, is you get somebody to just mentally process, and sometimes it's just like get it out of your head and be able to like hear yourself say it out loud, and then you can process it and start to break it down into some actionable steps.
Yeah.
So you can get through
I think sometimes just saying it, like I feel like I'm about to explode. I'm carrying too much. I'm reaching capacity. Sometimes just saying those words is just like a relief.
Or crying in the closet or in
crying
the
or the
garage. I've done that when my boys were little and I had to excuse myself. I would have to go cry in the garage or something because it was just too much.
Mine is the bathtub. Mine is the bathtub. Well, I think this is a great transition into our big takeaway for the week. Listeners, if you only take one thing away from this week's episode, I would say let it be this. A leader's true capacity is revealed under pressure. Anyone can lead when things are calm, but sustainable leadership is the ability to carry responsibility and make decisions and develop people and remain steady without losing yourself in the process. It's easy to do. It's important to ask yourself, am I leading well or just surviving?
Yeah, that's right. The goal of leadership isn't to carry more and more forever, right? The goal is to grow into the kind of leader who can expand responsibility while developing others, while protecting your own energy and leading consistently for the long haul. So Brent, we just want to say thank you so much for being with us today. If our listeners want to stay in touch with you, how are they going to be able to do that?
Yeah, you can look me up on LinkedIn. Find me, look up Brent Running on LinkedIn, follow my content there. And you can look out or reach out to me at brunning@runningtolead.com. And for your viewers, I've got a couple of value added tools for them. If that's cool to share.
Great.
All right. So For your viewers, I've got a free 5-day course that deep dives the 5 C's of development that I talked about. You can find that at 5C's Development Flywheel.runningtolead.com. And for those that are really, really ambitious, there's a Running to Lead daily development app available in the App Store. And the web app. I'll provide a QR code, hopefully in the show notes, that you guys can go download that. That'll give you daily leadership activities to get this routine in place so you can start to grow and accelerate your development. And I'm excited for you to give it a try and go lead.
Yeah.
Wow, I love that. You're welcome, listeners. See, we bring you the best. We bring you the best. Thank you so much, Brent. Well, this is a question that we ask all our guests, Brent. So what is your favorite leadership quote?
So the one that's resonating with me right now is by Cy Wakeman. The impact of a leader does not come down to what he or she tells the team, but from what he or she gets them thinking about.
Oh, that's a good one. Very good. And listeners, do you have a favorite leadership quote? Send it our way and we may spotlight it on a future episode.
We'll be back next week with another quote and more leadership insights. And you know what we're going to do?
We're going to talk about it. Thanks so much, Brent. Bye, bestie. Bye, Brent. We want to thank you for listening. If you're enjoying this podcast, please show us some love by clicking the 3 dots to download the podcast. Leave us a 5-star rating on your podcast app and talk about it with other leaders to help them find the show from any of the major podcast apps. We'd love for you to follow us on social media too. Mpactful with an M _ messages on Instagram and Mpactful Messages on LinkedIn.